Welcome back, my spooky viewers, to a place where the veil between our world and theirs grows thin, a place where shadows dance in the flickering lights, and every creak and groan sends shivers down your spine. Tonight, we journey to the desolate waiting rooms and echoing tunnels of abandoned Amtrak stations. These are places frozen in time, haunted by the memories of countless journeys and the lingering presence of those who never truly left. Turn off the lights, sit back, and prepare to be spooked. Tonight, we delve into 3 real-life encounters with the unexplained. Our first stop takes us deep into the heartland of America, to a forgotten station swallowed by time and silence. The old clock tower still casts its long skeletal shadow across the dusty tracks, a silent sentinel overlooking a realm of forgotten journeys. They say the station master, a man named Silas, died in that tower, his heart giving out just as the last train pulled away, leaving him stranded in a ghost town of his own making. Locals whisper tales of a spectral conductor who still roams the platform, his lantern swinging, his voice a low, mournful echo calling out departures for trains that will never come. Some say he's searching for passengers he never had the chance to guide, lost souls forever bound to the station. One frigid winter night, a young photographer, drawn by the station's eerie beauty and fueled by rumors of Silas's lingering spirit, decided to spend the night. He hoped to capture the ethereal glow of the station under the moonlight, unaware of the spectral welcome that awaited him. As the moon climbed high and the temperature dropped, the photographer felt a growing unease. The silence of the station was broken by the faintest of sounds, the rhythmic click-clack of approaching footsteps. He dismissed it as his imagination, the power of suggestion taking hold in the stillness. But the sound persisted, growing louder, closer. He could hear the distinctive click of dress shoes on the concrete, each step sharp and deliberate. Then a cold gust of wind swept through the station, stirring the dust and sending shivers down his spine. And that's when he saw him, standing at the edge of the platform, bathed in the pale moonlight. It was the silhouette of a man. He was tall and skeletal, his uniform a tattered, outdated style. In his hand he held a lantern, its flickering flame casting grotesque shadows that danced across his gaunt face. The photographer watched, frozen in terror, as the figure raised its hand, pointing a skeletal finger toward the north end of the tracks. Northbound train arriving, the figure rasped, his voice a chilling whisper that cut through the photographer's bones. But there was no train, only the empty tracks stretching out into the darkness, swallowed by the endless night. The photographer, paralyzed by fear, could only watch as the spectral conductor took a step forward, his form shimmering like a heat wave in the cold air. And then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the figure vanished, leaving the photographer alone in the silence, the echo of his words hanging heavy in the air. Our next haunting takes us to the bustling northeast corridor, to a station teeming with life during the day but eerily silent at night. It's a place where the echoes of hurried footsteps and the rumble of departing trains linger long after the crowds have gone. They say this station is haunted by the spirit of a young woman who was supposed to meet her lover on the platform but tragically never got the chance. He was a soldier shipping off to war, and she, clutching a single white rose, promised to be there to see him off. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A tragic accident, a runaway carriage, a life cut short just moments before her arrival. Now her heartbroken spirit is said to roam the station, eternally searching for her lost love, her white dress flowing behind her like a phantom shroud. Late one night, a security guard making his rounds felt a chill as he passed by the old waiting area. The air grew heavy as if a weight had settled on his chest, making it hard to breathe. He paused, shining his flashlight down the length of the platform, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. He shook off the feeling and continued on his rounds, but the sense of unease followed him. As he turned a corner, his flashlight beam illuminated a figure standing at the far end of the platform, a woman in a long white dress. He stopped, his heart pounding in his chest. "Hello?" he called out, his voice echoing in the vast emptiness. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, its back to him as if frozen in time. He took a step closer, shining his light directly at the figure. He could see the way the dress seemed to flow gently in a non-existent breeze. "Ma'am, this area is closed," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Do you need any help?" Silence. He took another step, and that's when the figure turned, or rather it seemed to glide, as if it were floating just above the ground. The security guard gasped, his blood turning to ice. The woman's face was pale and drawn, her eyes hollowed out sockets. In her hand, she clutched a single withered white rose. He stumbled back, dropping his flashlight, plunging the platform into darkness. He fumbled for his radio, his fingers shaking uncontrollably, but the woman was gone. He spun around, searching frantically for any sign of her, but she had vanished. The security guard never forgot what he saw that night. He quit his job shortly after, unable to bear the thought of encountering the lady in white again. Chapter 3. The Shadowy Figure. Our final destination takes us off the beaten path to a remote station in the desolate plains where the wind howls through broken windows and silence is broken only by the occasional cry of a lonesome bird. It's a place where darkness holds its breath. Shadows cling to every corner, and whispers follow you on the wind. They say this station is haunted by a malevolent entity, a shadowy figure born from the darkness itself. No one knows who or what it is, only that it feeds off the fear of those who dare to enter its domain. A group of friends, eager for adventure and skeptical of the stories, decided to spend a night at the station. They were young and full of bravado, convinced they were immune to the fears that haunted the locals. They arrived just as the sun was setting, its dying light casting long, eerie shadows across the dilapidated building. The air was thick with dust and decay, and a heavy silence hung in the air, broken only by their nervous laughter. As darkness fell, the group settled into the old waiting area, sharing stories and jokes to break the tension. But as the hours passed and the temperature dropped, the laughter died down, replaced by an uneasy silence. One by one, the friends started to notice strange occurrences. A chill down the spine, the feeling of being watched, the sensation of something brushing past them in the darkness. Then one of the friends, a young woman named Sarah, saw it. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of movement in the shadows at the edge of their firelight. It was a tall, dark figure, its edges indistinct, as if made of smoke. It seemed to be watching them, its presence radiating a palpable sense of malice. Sarah nudged her friend, pointing to the shadowy figure, her voice catching in her throat. "Do you see that?" she whispered. Her friend turned, shining his flashlight in the direction Sarah was pointing, but the figure was gone. They dismissed it as a trick of the light, their imaginations running wild in the darkness, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Later that night, as the friends huddled together for warmth, they heard a noise. It was a low growl, guttural and menacing, coming from the far end of the waiting area. The friends froze, their blood turning to ice. The growl grew louder, closer, and then they saw it. The shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, its form shifting and swirling like smoke in the wind. It moved towards them slowly, deliberately, its presence filling the air with a suffocating dread. The friends scrambled to their feet, their hearts pounding in their chests. They ran for the door, their fear lending them speed. They didn't stop running until they reached their car, the engine sputtering to life like a lifeline. As they sped away from the station, they could see the shadowy figure standing in the doorway, its eyes glowing like embers in the dark. The friends never returned to the station, forever haunted by the memory of the shadowy figure and the terror it had inflicted upon them. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey into the heart of haunted Amtrak stations. If these tales of spectral conductors, vanishing ladies, and shadowy figures have sent shivers down your spine, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the unexplained. Do you have your own encounter with the unexplained? Share your stories in the comments below. Until next time, sleep tight. And remember, sometimes the most terrifying destinations are the ones we never expect to arrive at.